Are you sure you'll be fine alone?
Yeah, my parents got all concerned when they learned I no longer have a traveling partner. I was, strongly advised not to go off on my own since it's my first time being this far from home. Although I tried to be nonchalant about it, my sulkiness still surfaced.
It's probably for the best. However, I'm sure you'll make friends and be able to venture out more. If you'd like, I can ask some of the students to see if they're interested in hosting you on the weekends.
Me? I'd hate to impose.
I know you're reluctant, but it would be nice to spend time with students outside the dig site.
True, and see more of Belgium, too.
It's a shame Paige couldn't make it.
Where are you staying, anyway?
Oh, at a colleague's. I've known him and his husband for years. I would bring you along, but it's a small house, and...
She trailed off, and I nodded understandingly. I did not want to impose on her catch-up time with friends. Will the museum be completely locked up once Augustin leaves?
Everything's safe for the back entrance so you can access it. You can lock it from the inside at night. I imagine you'll be sleeping on the second floor?
Yes, Augustin already set up an air mattress for me, and I moved some of my belongings.
I think we've gone over everything then. There's leftovers in the fridge, and the Wi-Fi will remain on.
I heard the laboratory door opening and closing, and Augustin flashed me a warm smile. All of the other students had left for home for the weekend, and it was just us three, soon to be one, now that they were ready to depart.
Melissa, I assume Sherry has gone over everything?
Yes.
Wonderful. Although this is the first time in many years someone had remained here alone.
There was an ominous yet playful smirk, and I could not help but be wary. Why?
They are scared of the wrath of the Neanderthal whose bones we found.
I think I'll survive these 48 hours, Augustin.
What a brave girl. I hear it gets very eerie at night.
Bye. We exchanged goodbyes, and I heard the clicking of the front door being locked. When it got very quiet, I pushed the thought of ghosts out of my head. I have a whole museum to myself. I bet not many people can say that.
Yeah.
Huh, the lights are on. Is someone here? Let's not pick things up without asking this time. What's all this? There were multiple wooden trays laid out on the center table. Each contained various rock samples along with paper slips labeled under each one. I approached and peered at the trays. Calcaire, de schiste, gray. Are they studying something, or will this be a part of another upcoming lecture?
Permission.
I should ask first before I start picking up museum property. Whoops. Nestled against the wall was a small table. Usually it was bare, but now there was a laptop and someone seated in front of it. Excusez-moi. Oui, comment puis-je t'aider? Oh god, good grief. Where's my translation guide? I think I messed that up. Hold on. Puis-je t'aider? Today? Yeah. Comment puis-je t'aider? I think. Je ne parle pas français. Sherry student, I presume? Oui, that would be me. He approached me casually and stood beside the table. Yes, I'm Melissa Flores, studying under Sherry. Pleased to meet you. He offered his left hand, and I accepted it with a firm shake. Hendrik Lucan, he's at your service, you think. Hendrik, the geologist? Augustin's nephew? That's me. I was supposed to be here earlier, but was caught in a landslide of work back in Germany. Thought I'd catch up on a few things before Monday. He jutted his chin toward the samples. Were you going to ask about those? Yes, I didn't want to poke around without permission. Can I? Feel free to look around if you'd like. Merci. I picked a rock up, the one labeled calcaire. This material was everywhere in the cave. Limestone. I placed it down and examined one beside it labeled shale. Where did this collection come from? From one of the cabinets? It's mine, actually. Many of the rocks are ones I've dug up or personally found. I thought it'd be nice to have some examples to show the students here. Especially if they can't tell the difference between chert and shale yet. And what is the difference? He eagerly motioned me over to the tray, picked up a dark rock and offered it to me. It felt grainy in my hand. First off, shale is composed of silt and clay, and it's a very soft rock. You've probably seen shale at road cuts or by the riverbanks. And this is chert. You can already note the waxy luster, and it's much harder than shale.
I held the sample in my other hand. It also felt smoother than shale, almost like glass.
This is what you need to keep an eye out for. A lot of stone tools were crafted out of chert. Fortunately, they tend to stand out like new when you uncover them.
I can tell you've given this lecture many times. I'm guessing most students have never worked with rocks before.
Yep, many are into art, computers, or music.
I returned the rocks to their rightful spot. What were you doing in Germany?
Pretty much what I do here. Supervise excavators, examine and compile soil samples, figure out the stratigraphy. I essentially chalk out a map of the cave to study the sediments and its history.
That sounds difficult. You'd think sedimentary formations would be more straightforward. Older on the bottom, more recent on the top?
You'd think, but geology is never that nice and easy. How to best describe this? Do you like cake? So tempted to do this, I gotta wait till yours, though.
I do.
Great, it'll make the analogy easier. What are the chances you've tried a Prince Regan tentorte?
Very low. Non-existent, in fact.
Then Black Forest? Less layers than I'd like, but you get the idea.
Yes, I'm familiar with it. It'll work as long as I pictured a multi-layered cake, right?
Exactly. Cakes are like basic sediments. Consistent layers and patterns all around. Unlike cake, stratigraphy is a complex puzzle.
Hendrik made multiple slices in the air with his hand, gradually lowering the elevation each time to emphasize the point.
Layers are slanted due to how they were deposited, whether by alluvial means, weathering, freeze-thaw, gravity, cave-ins, the list goes on. And then, just as the sediment starts to settle, a river or flood may come in and wash the top surfaces away, leaving nothing or portions of the same layer in isolated pockets. Badgers and other burrowing animals cut through layers, disrupting sediments further. Or something drastic could take place, like an earthquake, creating faults and misaligned sediments. Therefore, it's up to me to figure it out. I hope I didn't bore you. People have always said I'm married to my job.
It wasn't boring at all, honest. If anything, it made me realize how much work goes into understanding the cave's history.
It's definitely not easy, but I enjoy the challenge of piecing information together. Since I'm here, I'll be available if you have any other questions or inquiries.
He finished the last sentence like a well-rehearsed routine. How long have you worked here?
Me? Let me think. Nearly 4 years now? I helped my uncle during the summer, and then hopped to a few other caves depending on their excavating schedules.
After a glance upward, his eyes widened and he slapped his forehead.
I'm supposed to be in Namur soon. I hope I didn't startle you earlier. My uncle did mention there'd be a student staying here on the weekend, but it slipped my mind.
No, that's fine. It was nice finally meeting you, Hendrik.
Likewise.
I'll be sure to ask you if I have any other geology questions.
That's what I'm here for. I'll see you on Monday.
Bye, Hendrik. Now we've met everybody. Well, everybody except Joan, I guess. Because we've just been holed up in our room studying. Melissa, you fell on your butt, girl. Why? Okay, let's look at our relationships. Look, we actually have hearts with KYLER, the aloof square. Me, oh my, oh me, oh my. Shoji, we didn't get any hearts with you for talking about hoodies and stuff? It's a shame. Okay. Now I gotta remember to look for the cute little chibi face of KYLER so I know where to go. So we gotta go to the cave. Study. Yes, because he's not volunteering that day. Cave again. Yes? Yes, okay. And we want to volunteer that day. Cave again. Study and then internet. I figured he's gonna be in the cave most of the time, probably. Yep. He's volunteering with DeAndre that day, I think. I get him and Shoji's chibi confused some of the time. Let's see. I can study, and dance.
Yes. Okay, we're gonna try this out and see what happens. Got a little bit of a pink showing up on our thing. Let's see what happens. Oh, chocolate hazelnut, you're worth the extra insulin. When I was done, I rolled the bread up and bit the end. My mouth glued shut as I chewed, while the spread smeared my cheek. Oh, this one again. Glad I was eating breakfast alone, because I was being sloppy.
Bonjour.
Huh? Someone lightly pecked me on one cheek. The person immediately pulled back, and I hastily rubbed my face while he did the same. DeAndre, I was stuffing my face. At least warn me next time before you kiss me.
I could say the same.
What was with the kiss anyway?
It's how we greet friends. Usually the cheek kissing goes a little smoother than this one.
He eyed my breakfast and snorted teasingly.
Cute, Mel.
Hey, I wasn't expecting everyone to arrive so soon. Did you drive here?
We took the train. It only stops here every half an hour, so you either arrive early or slightly late.
Before I could question the we, DeAndre tapped the side of his cheek.
You still have some...
You too.
Still? Did you dunk your face into...
I did not. Your timing was just atrocious. Oh, KYLER. While we were both cleaning ourselves, I noticed KYLER observing us with a deadpan expression. He frowned in disgust and disappeared around the corner with his belongings. It's not what you think, boo. This time. DeAndre rubbed his temples like he had an impending headache.
I don't think he likes me.
Something happened?
Well... Do you remember that rowdy night?
The one I passed on? Did I miss out on something?
We were partying and some of us had gotten rather tipsy and started playing catch. I may or may not have nailed KYLER in the head with the ball.
Was he okay?
Yeah, he was fine if upset. I tried to apologize, but he wouldn't hear of it. Now he probably thought I was shamelessly flirting with you like some full-time playboy.
Oh, you aren't?
Part-time. KYLER seems to be the type where first impressions are everything.
I think you're right. He seemed to tolerate me once he learned I was serious about archaeology. Ooh! Yes! We got off on a good foot with KYLER, so we're tolerable. At least until this whole Nutella kiss incident.
Oh yeah, you two work in the same location.
About the ball incident. I mean, I want to talk to KYLER more anyway, so I'll volunteer. Leave it to me. My square is next to his anyway, so I'll be able to talk to KYLER anytime.
Really? It's not a big deal, but let him know I apologize for that.
A few other students trickled in, and I finished my breakfast before there were any more mishaps.
Anyway, where did you stay this weekend?
I furiously chewed my oversized portion, but DeAndre flashed me a patient "I'll wait" smile. I simply tapped the table since I couldn't talk.
Here? How was it?
I survived. When a car pulled in, I knew Augustin and Sherry had arrived. I waved to them as they got out, although inwardly I wanted to whine to Augustin about the whole ghost thing. After Sherry and I greeted each other, she handed my journal back. Be sure to read the comments in the journal when you have time. It'll give you an idea of how you're performing. Thank you, I will. Also, since this is your second week here, you now have the option to pick lab work if you'd like. I would like, but KYLER loves the cave, so I'm just caving it all week, Sherry. Oh, right. I'll notify Hendrik. He handles Lab 101 here and can explain the procedures to you. Nice, it seems my options have opened up. Not really, though. Although, apparently I'm gonna go to the lab anyway. There sure are a lot of stuffing tools here. I perked up as Hendrik tapped the whiteboard with his prosthetic fingers, his speech continuing in French. His lecture was occasionally interrupted with polite giggles or groans, and he would grin at their reactions. Hendrik loved to deliver puns in any language, I mused. Once the explanation wrapped up, people collected plastic bags, each with a sheet inside. Some barely contained any material, while others had huge bones encased in tin foil. I grabbed a decently sized one with mostly smaller items and fished out the feet, along with a wrapped item. Is this your first time doing lab work?
Yes, Sherry's gone over the procedures with a slide presentation, but it's different seeing it all up close.
If you'd like, I can clarify a few things. I thought it'd be easier to do a little one-on-one instead of repeating myself in both languages and taking up more time.
Really? Then I'm good. I think I got everything. Thanks for the help, Hendrik.
Kein Problem. I'll mostly be helping out in the lab, working alongside the other students.
Hendrik drifted away to answer questions from other students while I gingerly unwrapped one of the items in the tin foil. It was a tiny tooth, with only minimal dirt attached to the root. At least it was an easy one to work with. I dunked a toothbrush into the water and began to scrub it. I dried it off and set it on the cloth, then uncapped the ink bottle and neatly dipped the nib into it. Gently, gently. I had barely touched the tooth with the nib when a giant splotch of ink dispersed and penetrated the root. It now resembled a squished black spider. I cleaned the nib and scraped the blotch the best I could. It seemed to work, but it also scratched into the tooth. It's harder than it looks. I'm already missing the cave. Of course, this is where the real discoveries would take place, where everything was cataloged and identified for future examination. I would also be graded for my lab work, so it wasn't something I could avoid entirely. Time to see if I can finish this one, at least. You got it, girl. Then we went back to the cave. And I failed. No. I never thought I'd struggle to figure out if something was bone or stone. I turned the thin brown piece in my hand while my thumb rubbed off some of the dirt attached to it. Luckily, it left an imprint in the soil so I could return it to its original context, but I did not want to measure something that would reveal to be worthless. I thought about asking Sherry, but I already pestered her with a million questions this morning, and she was helping the other students. Turning off my music, I glimpsed at KYLER. He was kneeling down and jotting something on his fiche, using one of the protruding rocks as an improvised table. Clenching the unknown object, I wondered if I could ask him. Moreover, it would give me the chance to apologize on DeAndre's behalf. He was completely absorbed in his work, though. We are going to ask our boo. I tapped the rock surface next to the paper to get his attention, and he glanced up in response. Sensing a conversation, he raised his hand to his cochlear implant and switched it on. Sorry to bother you, but I have a question. I held up the object and he placed the pen down. It felt like a victory that I captured his attention.
What is it?
I'm stuck playing the bone or stone game. What do you think? He extended his arm and I placed the item into his outstretched palm. He held it up to the heat lamp behind us. The silent anticipation was agonizing, and I was surprised. Was KYLER stumped on it as well? Just when I was about to inquire, he moved his hand to his mouth and pressed the object against his tongue nonchalantly. What?
It's stone and not worth recording. You can toss it into the bucket.
I reluctantly held out my hand as he dropped the slightly damp stone into my possession. Ew, KYLER cooties. Okay. How did that work, monsieur? How could you tell by doing that?
Bone is porous and sticks to the tongue. This one didn't.
Oh, I get it. That makes sense. I tossed the stone into the bucket. Thanks, KYLER. It'll definitely be handy if I'm stuck again.
Be sure not to rely on it too heavily. Use your eyes and touch first. It's more of a last resort method.
Sounds like good advice to me. As tempting as it was to cheat and lick each discovered object, it probably wasn't the most professional procedure to depend on. Oh, and there's one other thing. He seemed disappointed that I'd stalled his excavation. Sorry. I heard about what happened last week. When DeAndre accidentally hit you with the rugby ball.
Right. What about it?
He apologizes for it, that's all. An uneasy pause hung in the air, but then KYLER gave a tiny nod. Aww, he looks so sad. Precious little KYLER's face.
I admit, I reacted rather harshly with him. It almost hit my implant, but it was an accident. I'll let him know I forgive him. can't believe he's asking this so soon! This is I mean, it's the second week, but oh my. Wow, so much interest so soon. Okay. You two seem close. Are you seeing each other? He said the last words hesitantly. Not exactly dating, but similar. Less formal. Seeing each other or going out are both acceptable. And no, we're not doing that either. Oh, I don't think we're close enough to start teasing him yet, so, let's be professional about this. Meh. Why, does it bother you? You didn't look thrilled when DeAndre kissed me. It's not that it bothers me. What you do is none of my business. I thought you'd take archaeology more seriously. You seemed very keen at first. Hey! I am taking it seriously. What you saw that morning wasn't anything more than a greeting kiss gone wrong. Wrong? I had chocolate spread all over my face. He didn't expect that. My embarrassed expression said it all, and KYLER cracked a smile. Phew! Ah, so that's what happened. Well, I admit I was worried about one thing. I was concerned about Sherry. What? Hearing KYLER speak her name so freely surprised me. Wait, of course they'd know each other. This was his 4th time here, and Sherry visited yearly. I could imagine him seeing her as a mentor at this point. Why Sherry? A few years ago, Sherry brought a student for the field school. This person got heavily involved with someone here. Anyway, one day, Sherry's student just vanished over the weekend. Oh, kind of like how I did at the end of DeAndre's route. Whoops. Sherry contacted her parents immediately, and they were furious. After some inquiring, someone mentioned that she may have left with one of the Belgian students who had planned a trip to Portugal. She didn't tell anyone, but I guess it was apparent to some of the more observant students. Basically, this student ditched the entire field school? Instant flunk. I wouldn't do anything like that. I mean, I guess I at least waited until the end of DeAndre's route before I did that. Anyway, I wouldn't do anything like that. It wasn't exactly easy to get here in the first place. All these interviews, renewing my passport, saving up, convincing my parents. I chose this internship for the experience. I won't blow it or cause Sherry panic. She did place her trust in me after all. She's a good teacher. Aw. I agree. I clapped to conclude our conversation. I'm glad that was all clarified. Feel more relieved? Enlightened? Yes. I'm sorry for getting the wrong idea about you and DeAndre. Well, that's okay. I mean, I did date him the first time, so you're perfectly alright. It's fine. No more misunderstandings. It's cool again. Still, I felt progress had been made since KYLER had opened up a little. Well, that was great. We made so much progress. We got so close with our boo, I feel. I was braver this time. Instead of sitting at the end of the bench, I positioned myself right in the middle, hoping to mingle with other students. I eyed the carton of apple juice that was out of my reach. I did not want to stand up and reach over, since that would seem rude. However, I wasn't sure if I could communicate clearly to the people beside me. It was worth a shot, though, and I did try to brush up on my French when I had the chance. Well, I haven't done this yet. Let's see what happens. Pass the apple juice, please. I gestured to the carton, and the brunette beside me nonchalantly plucked it up and set it down. You know, you should work on your French. You've been here a while. Or people will start to think you don't even want to socialize. I untwisted the cap. Her tone was friendly, yet very frank, and I could not argue against that. You're right, but I'm not that confident with my pronunciation yet. that's where the practice comes in. Right, Joan? Practice makes perfect.
Hi, Joan. She was right. Joan tried her best to converse with me at the party, and I appreciated the effort that I didn't go to and we didn't meet.
You're Melissa, correct? I'm Chantel. Sorry if I got all up front there. Just some advice.
It's fine. I appreciate it. I poured my drink while Joan eyed me curiously.
Chantel, she was from the States.
Yep, California to be exact. Beaches, bikinis, movie stars, and all that jazz.
To come all this way, you want to be an archaeologist as well?
Yes, I jumped at the chance to excavate at a Neanderthal site. I can't exactly do that back home. It's incredible to be surrounded by all this history. What about you two? What degrees are you taking? Chantel translated for me, and Joan brightened as she raised her fingers close to her cheek and wriggled them.
Music. I play flute.
Neat. How do you say flute in French? Chantel managed to relay the question to Joan, who giggled.
La flute.
Why am I not surprised?
But isn't that nice? It helps with learning a language if many of the words are identical or similar. If all else fails, say the word in English. There's a chance we might understand. Are you monolingual?
Well... Let's do this one this time. I guess so. When I think bilingual, I think you're fluent in both languages. I mean, I do know a little Spanish, but...
You speak Spanish?
Kinda. My parents are fluent, but I've gotten rusty over the years. Why? Are you learning Spanish? Chantel pouted between a spoonful of cereal sprinkled with cocoa powder.
I'd like to, but Spanish class is conflicted with my other courses. I want to go to South America or the Caribbean, so I'd like to master both English and Spanish.
We both glanced back at Joan, who patiently tried to follow along. Chantel quickly summed up our conversation, and Joan nodded.
Chantel wants to dig underwater.
I'm interested in underwater archaeology.
Sadly, this elective is not what I'm looking for, but the choices were pretty limited. I guess the cave can get damp occasionally, if that counts.
I admit underwater archaeology was not a field I had given much thought to. Why underwater? Are you... Let's try this one. Searching for sunken cities?
That's part of it. Well, that and pirates. Pirates have always fascinated me. I'd like to excavate something like Port Royal, the infamous Jamaican city that was partially submerged after an earthquake. There's already been multiple investigations at Port Royal, and it makes me anxious. I really want to start and join something amazing like that. I feel by the time I graduate, everything about Port Royal will be studied and then left alone and forgotten like Grotte de Spy.
I'm sure there's nothing to worry about. Archaeologists rediscovered Pompeii hundreds of years ago, and the excavations are still ongoing. These things take time, like KYLER, of course. I paused to let Chantel summarize our conversation again. Joan responded in a sentence so soft I couldn't catch it. What did she say?
Joan says she's a super slow digger in Grotte de KYLER.
I know no archaeology. Chantel helps.
More like I reassure her I'll help and then wonder if I should bother Mr. Dupont. I'm thankful for Mrs. KYLER. She's very patient. And I guess there's Hendrik now too, right? He seems pretty approachable.
He is, and, he's definitely geologist-y. Chantel tilted her head toward the far end of the table. I could see him socializing with Sherry and Augustin, obviously playing catch-up.
And he's beau, too. He's supervising the labs now. Maybe they won't be so boring this time around. Have you done them yet?
Only recently. Sherry encouraged me to focus on the cave last week. The lab's not bad, but there's a lot to take in.
I find it tedious. Joan, I'm to les laboratoires?
No. It is tedious? Boring?
If you'd like, maybe the three of us could work in the lab together. That'd be fun.
Sounds like a plan. Joan picked up her empty plate and I did the same.
It was nice talking to you, Melissa.
Nice talking to you.
I'll see you both later. My grin didn't fade after we parted ways.
It felt wonderful to branch out and introduce myself to more people. I finally made some female friends. Why did that take so long anyway? Because we didn't go to the party even though the game thought we had.